Okay, so with that, I would love to introduce you guys to our guest today, Lauren Bagliore. She's inspired by elements of art and architecture with astute attention to draping, tailoring, and finish in every piece. The work of Lauren Bagliore combines an edgy modern strength and sensibility while still retaining a romantically reflective femininity. That is why Bagliore creates bold and timeless pieces for women of all ages, shapes, sizes, and stature, women of all walks of life. That set the wearer apart and help her feel empowered in her everyday life. A New York native, Bagliore graduated from FIT and immediately began working with a slew of exceptional fashion brands, where she honed skills and prepared to launch her own brand. Upon graduation, Vivienne Westwood chose Bagliore to travel to London and work at her UK fashion house. And after a few years, Bagliore returned to New York and worked for Zac Posen, Libertine, and Tod's, as well as freelance work as a buyer and a stylist. Lauren Bagliore has been featured in Women's Wear Daily, Fashion Magazine, Nylon, United Magazine, Elle Canada, Marie Claire, WestJet Magazine, National Post, Prestige, Soma Magazine, and in numerous other publications. As well, business mogul Arlene Dickinson and musicians Icona Pop, Beyonce, Dear Rouge, Sarah Slean, and Krishan have been all seen wearing some of her pieces. The Lauren Bagliore collection features her signature buttery soft Italian jersey dresses that are draped into breathtaking pieces of wearable art in a muted color palette of soft grays mixed with the most graphic of blacks and starkest of whites. Kono jackets and Italian ponte intermingle with inventive asymmetrical separates. Wool tweeds are pieced and formatted to create op-art illusions. Windbreaker nylons are reinvented into tailored trenches and padded boleros. Many of the pieces are convertible, and day morphs into night instantly with the twist of a wrap or by layering or removing items. The Lauren Bagliore Concept Shop opened November 2014 until 2020 in Canada, featuring the exclusive collection as well as an Italian niche perfume and footwear lines. The first true concept shop in Calgary, Canada, Lauren Bagliore Concept Shop was the first brick-and-mortar store to offer a full-service luxury and lifestyle concept, and now operates as a pop-up shop model in New York, Paris, and various locations globally, expanding reach and exposure to new market opportunities. So with that, I'm going to shift gears to Lauren, who should be here in a second. Hang on. Okay, we have that. There we go. Let me put this as full.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
And I'm going to hold her up to the microphone so you guys can hear her better too. Okay. Right. Feels funny sitting over here by myself. Okay, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. I'm saying buongiorno, buonasera from Italy. It's evening here, but I'm so happy to be a part of your class today. I wish I could be there in person, but this is great that we can actually do this. Thank goodness for technology and for Professor Gordon to making this happen. So I'm super grateful to be here and be the guest today. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. So we love having FIT alumni and would love to hear a little bit about your experience while you were here on campus. Any internships or clubs or activities that you did while you were here?
Sure. Well, I graduated, 2005. Seems like yesterday. I can't believe how time flies. And I literally loved FIT. The first 2 years, I transferred from another university. I was doing a totally different major. But just to answer, how I started, I transferred after 9/11. It was that time. I got in the program. It was wonderful. There was like a wait list, and it just all worked out where I got in. And I really feel like the second half of my time at FIT, I really made it worth what it was. The first 2 years, I was kind of getting my bearings, but trying to catch up from transferring from another university. But to be honest, the last 2 years, I really just maximized every opportunity I had at FIT. You guys have so many resources. I really encourage you, if you haven't done that yet, try to change your focus and see what the university has to offer you. And that's kind of what I did the last 2 years of my time there. And I loved it so much. I really did.
That's great. And how did you end up getting that first job out of school?
That's a good question. After when I worked for Westwood, it was still kind of, a few years after 9/11 happened. We had trouble getting my visa to stay. I was offered this full-time position there. I really did want to stay in London, and then I ended up having to come back to New York, which I was so upset about. But it all kind of worked out. I mean, it was actually harder than I thought, though, to get my first job. I thought having worked for Vivienne Westwood, having this really exclusive experience would, put my name on the map. But it was honestly, it was very challenging to find that first job. I'll be honest with you guys. And, I think it took me about 6 months after coming back from London to really find something. I think I was looking in, Women's Wear Daily and putting my resume out there and interviewing, and you feel after a while, you just feel like a professional interviewer. But there's so much good in that too, because you learn to be confident in yourself in some ways. But to be honest, it was very hard. It wasn't very easy. And I know you guys have your own challenges now with things in the world. So my heart does go out to you all. But I do want to encourage you. You will get something. Just keep putting yourself out there. And I was discouraged. I'll be honest. I was very discouraged at first. So it took me about 6 months. And then I finally got my first job. I won't say where because it's not a company I want to promote or say it was not a good first job. And that's the truth. I hope you talk to other people that will be as honest as I am. I'm very real. But it was not a good first experience. But you know what? I learned a lot. I learned so much humility and patience, and I honed some of my, sketching skills. I honed so many other things, but I really learned to be humble. And I remember just thinking, like, God, I have to get out of this job. It's horrible, the first one. And then just after, I think I was there a bit less than a year, and I finally had another job come, I was looking, but this other job like doubled my salary, and it was just such a better environment. I was just so thankful, but I really went through a lot. the first one post Westwood, because Westwood was my dream job, but this was just kind of like the complete opposite. So I do want to encourage you guys, the movie Devil Wears Prada, there are people out there that will treat you like that, but you don't have to stand for that. There's also good people. And if you're in a situation in fashion, because I know the industry so well, and so does, Professor Gordon and a lot of your professors there, just know that it will pass. Just be humble. You don't have to put up with, people mistreating you, but, you're not alone in that. And for all the things I've been through, I've learned it's really, just to be honest, it's really grown my character. So even those hard experiences will teach you something. But yeah, my first job out of school was tough. And then, like I said, after, I had that other job, doubled my salary. And then from there on, a couple other things before starting my own line. So I can talk to you more about that if you're interested.
Yeah, I would love to know when you decided you wanted to launch your own line.
Well, I think that's a good question. It was always in me. I always knew that I was going to be a leader, and just, I've always been someone who's had my own vision. And I've actually worked with other designers that don't want that. And that's totally okay. Like when I worked in corp design, I worked with designers that just like, they loved what they did in a big company. They loved the stability. They loved knowing what their salary was going to be, and they like to leave their work when they went home. And I'll be honest with you, all of you there, when you have your own business, it is nothing like that. You are working all the time, and you don't turn it off. I hope you can, but most of us don't. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. What I'm saying is there's two types of people if you're going to pursue being a designer or a business owner. And I feel like my friends that stayed in corporate design, they have a lot of perks. Like they've gone up the corporate ladder, they've have certain comforts and things that they feel good in. I'm the opposite type of person. I like the challenge. I mean, I'm talking to you from Italy, trying to start something I can't talk to you about, but that's who I am. So I feel like you have to find out who you are and don't try to be someone else. Find out, are you the type of person that feels more comfortable, being a part of a big company? And that's a beautiful thing too. That's not something to say is less than having your own business, but find out if you're the type of person that, do you want to be like an awesome part of an amazing team that's building something together in a big company, or do you want to be a pioneer? And I think that's a really good way to look at it, Caroline, because I think people often don't think about the business side of having their own line. They think, I want to have my own line, right? They think, I want to
Yeah.
do this, I have these ideas. But you really have to think big picture. It's not just about making your clothes and what you want them to be and having this amazing idea. That's a part of it. But you also have to think about, do I want to take these risks? Do I want to maybe not get paid for a few years? Do I maybe want to have to get a second job to make this work? Or, I have a lot of friends that are still trying to launch their lines and they're older than me, and they're still trying to do it. So I want to be so real with you guys because I wish someone was that real with me when I was in your position. And it's always great to have amazing mentors in your life. So if you find some good people like, Professor Caroline or anyone else at FIT, just ask them questions because these are the things you need to really about. And like I said, that's why I'm here for you today. I want to be able to give you something that you can walk away with and say, oh, I learned something today from Lauren. I learned something from her experience because I feel like that's what life's about is sharing those experiences.
Totally. And it makes your missteps that much more valuable if you can share them. So
Absolutely.
that's great. So how did you get started? Because I feel like to me that's the scariest part about launching a brand. How did you make the leap?
Yeah. Yeah, that's hard. I mean, I worked, like I said a bit before, I worked in the corporate world for a few years, and I just knew, I knew right away that it wasn't for me. And I had this moment when I was in corporate design. I'm like, wow, I could really go up the ladder here. I could become a design director in this big company and, make a really good salary. And, I saw people having like this life and, it looked dreamy, but it just wasn't me. It wasn't my heart. It was not me. I felt like if I chose that, I would be lying to myself. But it did look really appealing, I'll be honest with you. So for me, it was really, soul searching and saying, okay, do I want to go that route and like have a part of my heart die inside, knowing that I need to do my own thing and not knowing what the heck to do? Like I didn't even know how to start my own line. I didn't have any mentors in that. Or do I want to, step out of the boat and really try to make something happen and try and be true to that vision that was in my heart. So for me, it was really that. Like after a couple of corporate jobs, I just was really like, this is not for me, and it was just clearly like I think it was like not for like people knew I was just my own thing, but I knew I had to take a risk. So I actually I think I moved to Italy after a few years after graduating, and I just needed a break from fashion. I was kind of reevaluating my life. What do I want next before starting my line? So this was like a little pause, like of less than a year. And it was here, I'm in Italy now, it was here in Italia that I really said, no, I have to do this. I knew what I needed to do. So I had that time to collect myself. And then, I ended up, a funny story, I ended up getting married and then I moved to Canada, where my husband's from. I'm a native New Yorker, Italian American. And I ended up moving to Canada, and I remember saying this prayer out loud to God, like, I am in this country where there's literally no fashion industry. I just left Italy, I just left London, I left New York, all the major, fashion capitals. And now I'm starting something from zero, literally from zero, uh, in a country where there's not a big, fashion industry in Western Canada, not Toronto. So that was totally, totally risky and totally incredibly scary. But, I thought, how can I do this? So I had some contacts back home in New York, and my husband and I were in agreement that I would be able to see. It was a good thing because I was able to see my family in New York and work, and then come back to Canada and, spend time in New York. So it actually really worked out well. And I just started with one coat. I'll be honest. The coat, I wish I could show you. It's probably on my website. It's called the Celia Cocoon Coat, so you could see it. I think I made that coat. That was one of my first coats, and it's one of our best sellers. And I just started with one coat, and I didn't start with a huge, line. I just tested that out, and then I, maybe made 4 or 5 pieces, and then got pre-orders, and that's how I did it, guys. At first, I mean, it was very, very organic. It was very simple, not simple in the fact of, it was simple, but it started very organically. And then I had a group of women host me at their home, a beautiful home, and they invited people. And that's kind of how we started. We just started like that.
That's
And then it
great.
blossomed. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned your contacts in New York. Were those from previous jobs that you had? Is that how you pulled that off?
Um,
Or
Yeah,
made
that's
new
a good
contacts?
question too. I had a few contacts from internships and just, I was the type of student that kept like every contact possible. I had so many business cards, I didn't know what to do with them, and tried to keep in touch with so many people. So yeah, I had a few. I remember there was a time when I was sewing and doing my own production, and I remember doing some kind of show at FIT post graduation. It was some kind of, I can't remember what it was exactly, but it was something at FIT where we were selling our product. And I was still sewing all my own pieces and doing my own patterns at the time. And I'm not a pattern maker, and I can sew, but I don't love it. And I was doing all this on my own. And I remember this guy came up to me and he's like, wow, he was looking at my samples and he's like, you did these all by yourself? Like your sewing was great. I was like, oh, thank you. And then I looked at his. His production was another level. So I remember asking him, oh my goodness, who does your production? And he told me. And then I kind of started working with them from there. So that was just, I call it a little divine appointment. I mean, that was something I did at FIT post graduation. I was sewing my own samples at the time looking for production, and then this person had like meticulous production, and then I got the contact. And then you just kind of start building. You talk to other people in your industry, like you talk to other designers. I find in New York we're really helpful to one another in our industry, which I love. Not everywhere else is like that. I feel like, oh, you see each other at, Pacific Trimming, and you say, oh, where did you get this? Or or where did you get that? You go to, Mood, you're looking for samples, or Clamo Silk, and you're trading ideas, you're trading some trade secrets. I love that about our industry in New York. It's small, but I love that. And that's really how I started, guys. I started with one coat, initial production, and just kind of grew from there.
That's awesome. Did you always know that you wanted to do women's wear specifically?
Yes. Someone told me, oh, I want your menswear line. And I'm like, oh, that would be really cool. But to be honest, I think you have to go where your heart is. My heart was always to make things that, women would be able to wear. So for me, that's my heart.
Great. And what have you found to be the hardest part about running your own company?
Oh my gosh. Do you really want to know? Everything. Um, Everything. It's the hardest thing. Goodness, I don't even know. The hardest thing would be, I think when you think you've arrived somewhere, you realize you haven't. Like, there's always more to do. There's always something else. Having the store, running the business in 2 countries, having staff. So not only this, just to be honest, you're not just a designer. You're absolutely not. You design. Someone told me this, and I didn't want to believe it, but it's very true. They said, literally, you're designing like 20% of the time, and you're running the business like the other 80. And it is very true. When we had our store, I was making like 5 collections a year. Do you know how much burnout that is? Because our store always had to have new things. So my design skills were like super honed, but I was definitely becoming burnt out because you always had to have new merchandise in the store. So I was designing. That was hard, running the business. being a manager, being a designer, production, um, HR, doing everything. That's a hard part of having your own business. Sure, we hired staff that were experienced in, we had a store manager, we had someone that, worked for big, well-known fashion brands as our manager. But at the end of the day, you are the business owner, and you're not just. That's why I'm saying to you as the students, please listen. If you want to design and create, and if that's your passion, I say God bless you doing that. Do it for another brand. But if you are an entrepreneurial person, and nobody talks like this really. I remember, I wish someone told me this, which is good. I still would do what I'm doing now. However, I'm just being really real with you. If you are an entrepreneurial person, go ahead and start your own line. But if you're not, I would say find what you love and be excellent at it. Don't do something just to do it. Find what you love and make that your goal. Make that your, what you want to pursue and flourish in. Don't try to just have your own line because you think, it's going to be awesome, which I'm sure it would be, but really do it because you have that passion, because you're going to need it when things are hard.
Yeah, definitely. How is your company currently set up? I mean, how many people do you have on the team, and how are you navigating running
Sure,
it all?
that's a good question. What I'm doing right now is we're doing a lot of contract work post-COVID because it's been hard on our industry, and it's been hard on, so many of us having small businesses. So a lot of my friends as well, my peers are contracting. So we have about 10 people in New York on contract, and we have about 4, that are permanent, so it's very, very small right now. Things are changing in our industry. I'm someone that really wants to be like I manufacture everything in New York City, like made in New York. Our fabrics are from Italia. Yeah, a lot of designers don't do that. I'm one of the few that I've talked to that still do that. So if you as students have a heart to do that, I encourage you to do so because our industry needs it. We're small, and a lot of our production's moving to, not our production, but a lot of in New York production's moving to Brooklyn, as you probably have heard. But let's try to help our industry. That's my heart. So we do everything in New York still. I know that's crazy, but we do. And yeah, I think it's important to be a patron of our city and contribute that way. That's my design philosophy. That's not for everybody though.
No, that's great. Hey, we all, hopefully everyone in the room has appreciation for New York. I know I certainly do, but is your business strictly direct to consumer at this point, or do you do any sort of wholesale work?
We did a lot of wholesale in the past. I personally didn't love it. It's really good to get your name out there. It's more of a marketing tool, to be honest. I feel like when you're in stores, people think that's going to pay your bills. It really doesn't. I feel like we've been so blessed to have built an amazing clientele direct to consumer. And if I could give you this advice, it's start doing that now, because our industry is changing before our eyes as we speak post-COVID, but I've been doing this pre-COVID. So I've been building a network of women, whatever city we do pop-ups in, and men too. Men wear my clothes, which is so awesome. I love that. I love doing some unisex too. But I find that.
Oh no, we were doing so well.
Oh no, can you hear me?
Get out. You're back.
Okay. I don't know could you hear me when I said direct to consumer is so important? Do you hear that?
Yes.
Okay. So I find that post-COVID, I mean, I was doing this before, but post-COVID, if I could give you advice, is start doing direct to consumer sales, because your retailers can close any day, and what we're seeing now is so many retailers are closing their businesses, which is very, very sad. We all love stores. I personally love an experience of a store. I don't love, you don't get an in-person experience online. It's just never, as good as technology is going to be, it's never going to be that. So for me, it's so important to have built a direct-to-consumer business. And, if you are someone that wants to start your own line right now, I would say start doing, pop-ups, do collaboratives with other designers, find a few friends where you really, you mesh, or your businesses are complementary, and you can say, oh, I love this jewelry designer, and I'm doing, women's wear, and this person's doing accessories. Like, collaborate, do a pop-up together. And that's a beautiful collaboration right there, because you're all not competing and you're bringing people to the table. And you can start that way. It doesn't have to be something like out of your reach or crazy. I would just say start doing collaborations. That's what people are doing right now, and that's actually what's working. So wholesale, just to go back to wholesale is great to get your name out there. We've done that. Personally, I found it more, for my business model, it wasn't what I thought it would be, honestly, and I just want to deal with real women. And thank God I did that, because look at a lot of people that I know who have had businesses with big stores that have closed, like Barney's. I mean, they don't even know who their customers are. They don't know the things that you will know. If you start doing direct to consumer, you will know who your customer is, what he or she likes. You will know everything about them. You won't have to do market research. You will have it like in your pocket. So I encourage that. I think you'll learn so much that way. That's what I've done.
That's great. That's great advice. Any mistakes that you maybe did early on that you feel like sharing with the group?
Oh my gosh, I saw that question. That's funny. I thought of one. Oh my goodness. When I first, I won't say which store, but when I first got orders for my very, very first collection, oh my goodness. I mean, everybody makes mistakes, but I remember we made a jacket, and something happened with I had like a trade secret the special fill that was hypoallergenic, non-down. I remember it was unavailable all of a sudden, and I had to change the fill of this coat, and the measurements were different, but they promised me it would be the same overall. So I produced the coat without sampling new fill, and it came out horribly. Like, the coat was so puffy, it wasn't sleek, it was just a whole other level. So that was a huge mistake I made. Luckily, thank God, the store was so gracious and gave me another opportunity. But I mean, that was just that. I remember that moment. My heart just dropped when, I found out her customer couldn't fit into it, and that just killed my heart. I'm like, oh no, this is my first store. But they were very gracious and let me reproduce everything. Of course, it was all at my cost, so I learned the hard way. But I remember that lesson, to always, always sample everything. I'm not saying you have to make like 6 samples per style. I'm saying just when something new comes up, you always have, like, I feel like I'm a fabric scientist by now. I test everything after that experience. So
Oh, that's good advice for
mistakes
sure.
mistakes make us human, and actually, in the long run, they actually help us grow, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you learned a lot from that. What do you feel like you're most proud of so far from this?
Um, oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I feel like I'm the type of person that always wants to grow, and I've never fully, we never fully arrive. That's a lie. But I feel like I always want to do better. I always want to grow. But I am proud of the clientele we've built. I'm proud of those women, and some of them have become, my champions, my ambassadors. I'm really proud of that, because they're real people. It's not just hype on Instagram. Like, we have a real business, we have real clientele. That's what I'm proud of, because it's people and it's relationships, to me, that matter the most.
That's awesome. That's great. So fun question. Where's the most fun place you've gone for work travel wise?
For work travel wise, here right now in Italy, my heart, my home, my heritage. For me, it's always Italia. London was awesome when I lived there. I loved London. It was such a great city, so different from New York. And I remember, working for Westwood there. I was just, it was like a dream. But a really fun city that was completely different from New York, that just was vibrant. London's great. Paris too. Paris is always beautiful and inspiring. We did Paris Fashion Week for the first time 2019, right before COVID hit, I think, or it was 20, and that was just incredible experience too. In Paris, I mean, you could just walk outside and you're just inspired, you know? So for me, I love architecture. I love beauty, and I try to find beauty everywhere. So yes, I love to travel, and if you have an opportunity to do an internship abroad, I recommend do it. I don't know if FIT is still working with, is FIT still working with Polymoda or anything
Um, I does anyone?
in
Did it
Florence?
happen this semester? It was happening in the spring, but
Yeah?
yes, it's back again in the spring. Um,
Good. Well, you know, there's other places to do internships besides Italy. Like you can do one in Paris or London, but I'm just saying if you have an opportunity as a student to do that, I recommend that. That's an amazing opportunity because then you find a little bit more about what you like as well. And that's another
yeah,
thing I saw in your questions about interning. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
sure, that'd be great.
So, yeah, so I
Yeah,
just remember,
go
Carolyn,
ahead.
go ahead. Oh no, just about interning, you were asking me, um, I can't remember the exact question, but what I would like to share with you guys is if you can learn something in one of your internships, you know, while being a student, learn it on someone else's dime, learn what you like, learn what you don't like. I remember I did so many internships. I can't even tell you where they were. I think I had like seven. I don't know. And I worked two jobs and had seven internships. I took 21 and a half credits a semester. I was a busy girl, but I wanted to learn so much. I was so eager. I did marketing internship. I did a PR internship. I did a buying internship. I did design. I found what I loved and what I didn't love. So that is the blessing in interning is you can find what you love and what you don't love, you know, while you're learning from someone else. And I feel like if you can do that while you're studying, if you're that type of person, absolutely do it because you'll know what works for you, what you like, and what you don't.
That's great. One of the things that's super impressive about your product is how many amazing people you've gotten your product on, and I didn't know if you could share any advice for how you got it out there and got them wearing it.
Sure. There was a season we did a lot of just guerrilla marketing on our own, reaching out to people on our own. But then there was also a season we had a PR company. So there's a season for everything. Like we did a lot of fashion shows in the beginning to get our name out there. I won several awards. That was helpful to do those awards and competitions. However, you can't live for doing, you know, chasing after awards and competitions. I learned that, but it does help when you're starting out to get your name out there. And you know, when we had PR, we do it more on our own right now. But when we had a press agent, we tried a few different ones. You know, that helped getting our pieces out there. I think now you don't have to do that. Just to be honest, save a lot of money. Don't do that. I would say reach out to now with Instagram and social media, you really cut out the middleman and you can reach people directly yourself if you find a catchy way to get their attention. I feel like, especially all of you people that are, you know, younger than me, you probably have a million ways that are way more, you know, in the now of how to connect with people. You know, I'm pretty, you know, I'm not super techie, but you know, I know what's going on in the world with social media. I don't love doing it, but I find that that's a good way to get your product out there by, you know, the collaborations. Again, use social media to collaborate with people. That's a wonderful platform now to do that with. Find a few people that you can, you know, do some events, collaborate, reach out directly. But yeah, if you want to pay for PR and marketing, you know, there's a cost to that and it's very, very, very expensive. So, but what I'm saying to you is I think you can really do it without that. And, you know, just so you all know, I'm sure you know this, you see people that have, you know, 21 followers on Instagram and everyone thinks that's amazing and it's a big number. But I have to say this, there's so many people on Instagram that have so much hype, but they do not have a good product. They do not have a product. They have all this hype. And, you know, I have to tell you, that does not define who you are. I am so sick of this social media bullying, all this stuff I see with my nieces and people that are, you know, 20-year-olds. You can have an amazing product and, you know, not be this Instagram rock star. That's what we have, and that's okay. Of course, you know, I would love someone to do our Instagram. I don't enjoy doing it, and I have had people do it, but I'm telling you, just focus on your product. You will, if you have an amazing product, you will have so much more than other people. Don't focus on the PR. That comes and goes like that. Focus on your product. Put your money, if you want to make your own line, if you want to do that, put your money in creating something amazing that you feel proud of, you know? And I find that you're all super savvy and techie. You'll find a way to reach out to influencers. You'll find a way to do these collaborations, to do pop-ups like we just talked about. But don't, you know, I really suggest not to put your money into, you know, people think they're going to promise you the moon, these PR companies. I'm just being honest and real. We've done it. But it's better sometimes organically when you connect with people, and that's what I've done.
That's great.
So I hope that helps. I hope that helps.
Yeah. You know, and then if you were here, we probably would have been able to pull the product and look through your site a little bit, but with all my technical challenges, I couldn't really do that. But
Oh no.
I'm just wondering if you could share with everyone what your style philosophy is, generally
Sure.
speaking.
Well, they can go, I mean, you can give them the website later and they can look at it. It's just laurenbagliore.com. But my style and design philosophy is really simple. It's, you know, loving and empowering women, you know, to take their rightful place in the world. And what that means to me is just creating, you know, beautiful pieces that are wearable, that are interesting. I do a lot of convertible pieces. Some people do not like that. I've had people that have walked in our store and said, "Oh my gosh, it's too many ways to wear this. I just want to wear it just one way." But our clients, the women I design for, are like me. I like diversity. I like things to change. So I think of the modern woman. And a lot of my clients, to be honest, were before COVID. They're starting to travel again now, but a lot of them are world travelers. They're like VPs and executives, but they don't want to wear like a business suit. They want to look edgy and amazing. And that's why I say they want to take their rightful place. These are women that have worked so hard to be where they are in the workplace, and they want clothes that they feel empowered in. So that's really my design philosophy, is to empower women, you know, to take their rightful place. And I also do this with men too. I have quite a few male customers. I do a lot of my pieces are unisex. So same thing, is for people just to feel super confident. And I call it like timeless luxury. That's what we do. It's timeless. It's not, you know, we're not this company that's trendy. I don't personally like trends, and I don't follow them. I've always had a sense of what's going to happen next without looking at anything. That's just something that's in me. But I know I have a very close colleague, and he's like super trend focused, and that's his business, and he loves trends, and he loves, you know, we are totally opposites in style. He's very like loud and, you know, dolce, and I'm very edgy and muted and understated and more intricate pattern making. So we're opposite, but you just, you know, you love and do that. You find what you love and you do that. Don't, if I could say this to your students, Caroline, is to don't try to be anybody else. You know, Oscar Wilde said it, be yourself, everybody else is taken, but don't try to be anybody else, you know? Be yourself. Like, yeah, I was working for Westwood. It was amazing. I was making clothes. People in the studio were like, "Did Vivian make that?" I was like, "No, I made this." So it was super encouraging. But, you know, I actually walked away from that to find my own brand, my own identity. Now my clothes are totally nothing like that. But you really just have to find your own voice, and you have to find who you are. And that might take time. It took time for me, but that's where I think you will flourish. Don't be anybody else. Don't try to be anybody else. Just be yourself. There's only one you.
Yeah, that's great. Well, one of my questions was how you found new trends, but I guess maybe the real question should be, how do you get inspired? You know, where
Yes.
find
Yeah, that's a great one. Inspiration. Wow, there's so many things for me. Personally, it's travel. I love to travel. You know, it's hard when we were all in lockdown to not be able to do that. But for me, when I travel, I just feel so inspired. I like to observe things. I like to just to look people watch and look at architecture. I'm also a very I don't know, I seem like I'm an extrovert because I have a bubbly personality sometimes, but I'm really introverted because I fuel up in my time alone. So that's really how you know if you're an introvert or extrovert. We're a little bit of both, all of us, I think, but I'm definitely the type of person that fuels up in my alone time. So for me, you know, it's like when I'm going through it in my life, my personal struggles, the things I'm overcoming, or that really inspires me because I like to read when I have time, and I look at people in the world like Dr. Martin Luther King or Nelson Mandela that have like done something amazing in this world, that they fought for something they believe in. And to be honest with you, that's what inspires me. That's why we fight human trafficking through our business for almost 13 years. I mean, it's not a subject that many people want to talk about because it's very, very uncomfortable. But I find that that's just my heart is to do something outside the norm, to do something, you know, I love designing clothes, but I want to also make a difference in the world, you know, even if it's small. So for me, that's what inspires me, to look at the struggles of what other people have gone through and know that you're not alone, you know. I think that's, for me, that's the biggest inspiration. But externally, like I said, traveling and architecture and art, but like, you know, definitely the deeper things in life inspire me.
Yeah, well, that's great. I love that answer. So, it's 2021, so it wouldn't be, uh, uh-oh. Are you there?
Yes.
You can hear? Okay.
Can you see me?
We have to ask, what does this year look like for you? What has COVID meant for both your business and just, you've mentioned having to clamp down travel. But,
Yeah.
interesting that any key learnings that you've found this year.
Oh my goodness, COVID has been so hard
Mm-mm.
for us
I
as
can't hear you.
designers.
Something
Oh
changed?
no, can you? No, can you hear
No.
me?
Weird. Let me log out and log back in. Give
Okay.
me 1 second.
Can you hear me? No. Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Hi, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Shoot, I think I have bad connection. Ah, try the Wi-Fi again.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes, I just can't see. Oh, that's because we logged off and now the video has to be. Okay, there we
Okay, I'll leave my video off. It might help my connectivity a little bit for a minute.
go. Okay.
I'm coming to the end of my questions, but I just asked you about COVID, if you had any key learnings
Oh
from
yeah.
the year.
Can you guys see me, or do I have to click share video?
Share video, I think.
Okay. There
There
we
you are.
okay, good. No, COVID for so many of us has been so hard on our businesses. Can you guys hear me? I think I'm echoing a lot,
We,
but
we hear you fine.
okay.
Sorry about the echo.
Yes, I've talked to a lot of other designers. People are still trying to find their footing. It was very hard for a while, you know, not knowing what was going to happen. And, you know, a lot of our clients are doing conferences on Zoom. So they're not leaving the house, they're not needing to get dressed. I mean, that just kills your business. So we had to kind of wait it out for a while. We just really tried to connect with our clients and do video conferences with people as much as we could to stay connected. We didn't want to force people to, to purchase anything because it was such a scary time for the world. Now coming out of it, I think people are open to shopping again, which is what I've noticed. I did a really successful pop-up 6 weeks ago. It was amazing. I'm finding that there are people that are afraid to still gather, and there are people that are fine with it. So we just do the proper precautions with, masking up and making sure our staff and everyone are safe and our clients are feeling comfortable. But again, I have clients that don't want any contact with people. So it's a bit of everything right now. But we're trying to find, we've been trying to find our footing post-COVID, and I think the pop-ups for us has been the best thing. Can you guys hear me? There's like a lot of background noise.
Yeah, I can hear you, but unfortunately the microphone just got weird, which is not anything, but. All right, well, I feel like it's a good moment to switch to the students anyway, and then there's a traveling microphone we can use up here.
Sure.
Maybe that will work better. All right. If it comes out. Hang on. Okay, does that work okay? All right, who has a question? Yeah, okay, I'm gonna come down to you. Sorry, I gotta put my mask back on, you guys. Yeah, I'm gonna pass you. Sorry.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so when you're hiring for interns or looking for a designer on your team, what are the key aspects you're looking for in that potential candidate?
Let's see. A designer, you said, or anybody on the team? Was it a specific design question, or?
Yeah, so say someone was like applying for like to work for your team. What are you looking for in that person?
Oh, good. Thank you for fixing. That is a good question. I actually look for humility. I look for someone that's going to be teachable. I really, and my business partner, we do a few interviews, but we really look for someone that's got great character. It's not always about the resume. I mean, your resume is great. It definitely gets your foot in the door. It should be interesting. It should stand out somehow. However, the way that we are at Lauren Bagliore is we really look for character in a person. And if they're going to be humble and teachable, that's already a green light for us. We really like to teach people and invest in them. If someone comes in with a killer resume and they're not teachable, I'm not interested in that person being a part of our team. So we really look for character in the individual. And of course, being talented helps. But like I said, it's more about personality for us and being able to fit with our team. There's a really great resource I want to share with you guys called Strengths Finder. It's a book that we make everyone in our team, or everyone who wants to be a part of our team. I recommend that when they interview with us, they get the book called Strengths Finder by Tom Rath. I think it's R-A-T-H is his last name. Strengths Finder 2.0, and it's a great tool because it's the Gallup poll of about 2 million people that they've studied, and it basically helps you find out what your God-given strengths are. And I wish that we had done this in school when we were before university, because it really helps you hone in on what your natural strengths are. Like, for example, in school they say, okay, if you're not good in calculus, well, get better because you have to pass. This, on the other hand, is a way that, you know, I wish our education system in some ways fostered. Oh my gosh, you're analytical person. Let's get you doing more things that use that part of your brain. Or you're creative. Let's get you into more art classes. So I recommend anyone who wants to be a part of our team has to do Strengths Finder. And you know, whether or not they work with us or not, it's an amazing tool to help you all for your future. I hope you'll do it. I think the book's like $25 and you do a test online. I think the test is like 20 minutes online, and you do the test and it prints out, I think, about 5 pages of your strengths. And then the book is amazing because it also tells you, like, okay, Dr. Martin Luther King was this, Bill Gates is this. So you kind of learn, you know, who you're similar to in some ways. So that's a practical way we also look at people on our team. Do you feel that I answered your question well enough in that?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh,
And I
you're
also
welcome.
have another question.
Sure.
So, do you think previously your experience in London has changed your aesthetic to design after working for Vivienne Westwood? Or like
I
has
think
it?
at first I felt like maybe there were some influences there in my work, but I remember meeting with Saks Fifth Avenue when I first started, and they really gave me amazing feedback. They were like, "This is you, and this is not you." And I remember one of the biggest buyers there was like pulling apart my collection, and I remember taking that moment as a moment to learn, like, these are buyers that buy like Yoshi Yamamoto and some of the top designers in the world, and she was saying, this is you, this is someone else. So that stuck with me. I mean, that was like some of the best feedback I ever got. And then I really learned, like I was saying before when we were talking, I really learned who I was and what my voice was as a designer. So I think naturally when you work for someone, you know, somehow there's going to be some kind of influence in some way. Like, you look at a lot of other designers that have worked, you know, for Givenchy, or they've worked, you know, for Louis Vuitton, and you kind of see their hand on things. Like, you see Marc Jacobs in certain things because you know what he does. I think we all are imprinted somehow, whether we like to admit it or not. However, I found my own voice, and I really feel that, you know, now we really know. I mean, that was like years ago, but I feel like, you know, when you find your own voice, you can really flourish and be who you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Let's just go straight down.
Yeah, it's like it's so crazy.
I'm sorry, this is so funny.
It's okay.
All right, can you hear me? Okay.
She can
So,
hear you fine. It's just the microphone, so everyone else can hear.
all right, okay. I'm like, I don't know.
I can't
Okay.
see you, but I can hear you. There you go.
Okay. So my question is, when you were kind of questioning your career path and feeling like, okay, is this for me? You know, kind of wanting some direction. How did you, you know, regain clarity and the confidence to decide that that was the career path for you?
That's a good question. I felt like for me, doing those internships, like I talked about earlier, is so important. You know, I thought, oh, I want to be a buyer because they're going to make a certain amount of money and they're going to travel. And then when I did it, I hated it. So, and then I remember thinking, oh, I want to do PR, and tried that. And, you know, for me, I just, you know, I always was creative and, you know, created things. Even, you know, I did theater before fashion. And for me, creativity is just, it's in me. It's a part of expressing myself. But I think for me, having the confidence of trying those things out and knowing they weren't for me is what made my career path illuminated. So I hope that you have the opportunity to do that. If you're not sure about something, or you think, oh, maybe I'll like this, try it. You know, there's no, if you can do that, just, I mean, back then we interned for free, like nobody was paying us, you know? I mean, now I know the laws have changed in New York, but we were all like working our bums off in school. And like I told you, I was working 2 jobs, you know, internships, taking 21 and a half courses, credits. I mean, we just interned because we were so tenacious, you know? So what I want to say to you guys, it's a different time now, you know, since I graduated. And I do think people should be paid for sure. But if there's something that's an opportunity and it's not what you want, in this moment, be humble. If it's an opportunity you want, go for it, because you're going to learn something. You'll learn something everywhere you go. So just like I said, humility opens the door for so many amazing things. And I don't think a lot of other people will tell you that, but that is how the world works. And we are a good company. We treat people with love and respect. That's my mandate. Because I've been in this industry, and we all know the movie Devil Wears Prada. Remember how people treat people? I don't think that's right. And but even if, like earlier, if someone treats you that way, be humble and turn the other cheek. That's really what I believe in. But to answer your question, in summary, it's doing those internships, knowing what my strengths were. Like I said, I wish I'd done the Strengths Finder. I didn't know about that until I had a business coach years later that was helping me on my business. I mean, these are things I've learned along the way that I'm giving you, as these are invaluable tools. Like, I love sharing them with you because they've helped me in my walk. So I want you guys to have these tools as well, and you'll learn so many other things from other people too.
Thank you. That was perfect. That was like great response.
Thank you. Who else has an? Okay. Yeah. It's kind of fun being up here with you guys.
Aw. You guys have to send me an FIT mask. Carolyn,
Oh.
Not that I need it being at this office by myself. You can introduce yourself if you want and say, your name.
Hi, I'm Kim. Um, uh, so I know that you said earlier that you dealt with like a lot of doubts in the industry. So I wanted to
Mhm.
know basically like I know that like takes a lot out of like a person of the overthinking and all that. So I just wanted to know like how did you like move past it? Like what remotivated you?
For doubts in general, or doubts about starting my business?
Starting your business and just like being a designer and all that, you know.
Um, just getting past doubts. I think we're always going to have things that are coming against us. It's just the way life is, but it's about overcoming them. I mean, we're always going to have doubts. We're always going to have insecurities. I mean, I'll be honest with you, when I was a student and I went to a talk like this, I felt so discouraged after because nobody was honest. People were like, I won this competition, I won that, and then I became, well known and started my business. And I remember leaving a meeting like this feeling like this big because nobody shared their heart. Nobody was vulnerable and said how hard it is. And I remember saying to God, I do, I believe in God, of course, but I remember saying, if I ever have that opportunity to encourage people, I'm going to be real, because you need to hear it. We're all going to have doubts. And those people that didn't share it, they're just insecure. We all have our own insecurities. We're human. But I find that being vulnerable is a beautiful thing. And when we're vulnerable, we actually are more human, and we can share with one another. So I'm still overcoming doubts. It doesn't go away. I mean, I started my business in a recession, and now I started my business in a recession back in like 2008, 2009. We got through that. We got through so many hurdles, but then COVID happens. I mean, we have doubts all the time. What are we doing through this? How are we going to survive? I think you just have to remember why you're doing what you're doing. Like, don't say, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Say why. And I think when you ask yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing? The why, when you answer the why to yourself, that will really fuel you to keep going forward, because there's always going to be doubts, right? We all have them. We all have doubts and insecurities. It's just whoever says they don't, they're just being more insecure, in my opinion. But we all have doubts and insecurities in life. And I think just acknowledging them and saying, okay, this is a scary time and I'm stepping out of the boat and I don't know what I'm doing. Like, if you're going to start your line, maybe you're saying, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do this. I think just being real with that, but asking yourself, why? Why do you want to start this? What is the purpose for what you're doing? And I think a lot of people just don't answer that question in their heart. they do something because they think they should be doing it, or their parents want them to do it, or it's the next, cog in the wheel thing to do. But if you ask yourself why, I think you're going to save yourself a lot of heartache. And I think you're also going to have that clear vision, like the other girl had asked before, is having that clear vision. And of course, like I told you, I have doubts and things I face every day. I'm human. But like I said, I ask myself the why, even now. Okay, Lauren, why are you doing this? Because you want to love and empower women to be amazing. Like, that's why I do what I do. I don't need to be a famous designer. I want to do what I do to make a difference in the world, even if it's big or small. So I hope that you remember to ask yourself why.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, who else? More questions? I actually was wondering if there's anything that you're doing around sustainability for.
Oh, that's a good question too. Yeah, that's a big word in our industry these days, is sustainability. I find that for us, we're really repurposing a lot of our fabrics. So we are like a zero waste company in terms of, we repurpose so much of our fabric. And what that means is we'll use it again and just be creative and do something different with it. So we are basically, we're not wasting anything. So for us, that's super important. I think, sustainability is such people are educated. They want to know how your product's made and where. And to be honest, we're totally a sustainable company. We pay people fair wages in New York City, producing our clothes there since the beginning. I mean, that's pretty much as sustainable as it gets. We're not producing in a third world nation, So I believe zero waste is super important. Repurposing, you don't have to use a fabric one season and just throw it away. Maybe use the other side of it, or do something creative, or combine it with another fabric to make it something new. And that's what we do. We really are pro zero waste.
Awesome.
Oh, and
Well,
I did want to tell you, there was something you had asked me before in the question about production, Caroline, and I wanted to share another contact with the students if they're interested, because my friend Christine Dahl, she's also an alumnus of FIT, so she would be a wonderful person to speak with you guys as well. She has a company called, you can look her up, Fashion Angel Warrior, fashionangelwarrior.com. She helps people if you want to, instead of starting with, let's say, a PR company, she's kind of, if you're starting your own line and you don't know where to start, she's that kind of median person that works with designers to help them get their feet. I never did this, but that's what her company does, and she also has a lot of production contacts. So that's someone you want to remember her name for. She's also a wonderful person and FIT alumnus. But yeah, like I said, just getting.
Fashion
What was
Angels.
that?
Can you repeat
Fashion,
it?
sure. Fashion Angel Warrior. She goes by FAW.com, and her, yeah, so fashion, you can find her on Instagram too. And if you can't remember, just, you can message us as well, and you have my contact with our website and everything. But Fashion Angel Warrior, she's wonderful. She helps a lot of designers kind of mitigate those growing pains at first. So that's a person you could actually work with, that I would recommend, instead of investing in PR, 100% better to work with someone like that has those contacts. So that's something, I've seen this happen a lot lately in our industry. I've seen new designers work with someone like Christine because they don't know where to start. I didn't do that. I kind of found it all on my own. But I have seen a lot of designers go this route, and there are a lot of companies like hers that do this. They're kind of like a middleman, in a sense, in a good way. Like, she'll say, these are the best production contacts in Manhattan. I weeded them out for you. Like, go here. These are you don't want to do this to start your business. Do not, like, she really, it's like a post-graduation course. Like, she's wonderful. So reach out to Christine, tell her Lauren sent you. She's a wonderful person as well. So
Love that.
yeah,
I've never
super helpful.
That sounds to me, it seems like the most intimidating thing to get started is just where to get started.
Oh, I know. And now they absolutely. Yeah, it is intimidating, but they do have companies like Christine's that do this. I mean, like I said, I didn't do that, but it does really help if you want to start there. It's a wonderful resource.
Awesome, thank you. Anyone on remotely that has a question they'd like to ask? I realized I didn't ask you guys. And we have a few. No, all right. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for being here.
You're so welcome. It was such a pleasure to speak with you guys. I hope you feel that you learned something today. And if you have any questions, you can email me at info, and we'll try to get back to you if you guys have any questions.
Well,
Okay.
that's who we've been talking to the whole time. Really see.
Wow, I remember that auditorium. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And yeah, if you need to email me any questions, you have my permission to email me at info@laurenbagliore.com. Okay? Thank you, Caroline. Bacio from Italia. Bye. Take care.